I went from not being athletic at all, being able to deadlift 225 pounds.
It's like gearing up for like the big game.
Excelsior!
Black Panther is the 18th movie from the Marvel Universe, but the first to feature a largely African-American cast and crew. Boseman is joined by Oscar winners Lupita Nyong'o and Forrest Whitaker, and Michael B. Jordan as Black Panther's nemesis, Killmonger.
Every time you have a scene with one of those people, it's like gearing up for like the big game, and you're thinking about what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Like how are they gonna play this?
Right. Why do you think Hollywood hasn't made this movie until 2018?
Part of it is people do what they think works. I feel like, it's lazy in a way. Anytime people would say to me, well, a movie with a black lead won't work internationally, I always said that makes no sense whatsoever, because we've seen it happen. Right. We've seen Will Smith do numbers internationally. We've seen the success of Denzel Washington, but somehow the industry goes back to its old forms. So luckily now we have people in place that can change some of those things.
Wakanda forever!
Wakanda is a world away from the small southern town where Boseman grew up. Is it a humbling and crazy thing for you to think about your early days in Anderson, South Carolina?
No more thing that can be humbling than that. What I love now is that there are little kids now who live there who are like, yeah, I can go to Hollywood and become a movie star.
To me, what she represents is empowerment and strength. And it wasn't good enough in this conversation of like this representation of female strength to just say like, I put on a costume and I let the visual effects tell the story. I want to help tell that story. I went from not being athletic at all, being able to deadlift 225 pounds and hip thrust 400 pounds and push my trainer's Jeep up a hill.
Dig, 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 dig. In her past life, the superhero Captain Marvel was an Air Force pilot named Carol Danvers. That required some training for Larson, too. She spent long days at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada with real pilots. And she took a harrowing, messy ride in an F-16. The pilots who took you up said, you should be okay. Like, you got a 50-50 shot of being okay. How did that go?
Puked the whole time, the entire time. I didn't ask to go back down on the ground. I wanted to keep flying.
This is in the cockpit with the pilot in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you have the comms on, and she politely was like, if you don't want me to hear you puking, you got to turn the comms off. And I was like, oh, totally. And then you forget every time. And then what did they say to you when you got back on the ground? They said, well, we said it'd be 50-50. They're like, no, there was a 100% chance you were going to do it. They just didn't want me to chicken out.
Marvel Comics really was the first time we started to see superheroes who had flaws, who were kind of like us.
It's no fun reading about somebody who's perfect. You want to read about people that you can identify with, because we've all got problems. And if you can create and write about a character who is flawed but manages to overcome those flaws, then I think that's pretty good.
All right, kid. Good luck out there. In your mind, what makes a good superhero?
He has to be somebody who risks his life to help other people. And of course, he has to have a superpower, or else he would just be a hero and not a superhero.
How did you, for example, Spider-Man?
I saw a fly crawling on the wall, and I thought, gee, if a guy could stick to the walls like an insect, that would be interesting. So I thought, Insect Man? Nah. Fly Man? Nah. Spider-Man? Oh, that sounded mysterious and threatening. I like that. And I brought the idea to my publisher. He said, Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard.
50 years later, Spider-Man's one of Marvel's most popular and commercially successful superheroes. Part of a franchise that's made Lee the highest-grossing movie producer of all time, an estimated $15 billion in worldwide box office. What is it about these characters that have captivated people, not just in comics now, but in movies and TV shows?
Every character has to have problems. Besides killing the villain, and we play them up, somehow the audience comes along with us. And of course, nobody would miss a movie, because then they'd miss my cameo.
I should be on that list. Name? Stan Lee.
You probably made more appearances in movies and TV shows than any other artist ever.
It happened by accident. It happened in one movie, and then a director, the next movie, said, hey, let's use him also. And before you knew it, it became like a cult thing. I don't know. I love it.
Enough said.
Are you still thinking about superheroes?
I have a new one coming out in a year or two called The Annihilator. Ooh. Just you remember you heard
The
that.
Annihilator. How about The Weatherman?
Oh,
a guy who controls weather.
That's a great idea. Call your lawyer. I'll get mine. We'll work something out.
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out.
As Falcon, Captain America movie.
Yes.
I understand on the set there was some kind of a push-up contest where you said, I'm going to beat Captain America himself. Is this true?
Well, I didn't start it.
Okay.
The wonderful Paul Bettany showed up on set one day because I was feeling really good about myself. And we were shooting at the Porsche facility right outside Atlanta, and they had a whole gym set up, right? I was like, this is amazing. We could work out at work, right? So Paul shows up, and he's like, oh, you know, in his British accent, I did 65 push-ups last night. I'm like, 65? That's it? Like, was that at one setting, or you stretched that out over the day? So I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do more push-ups than anybody. So Chris Evans goes home, sets up his camera, and he pumps out 75 push-ups.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's impressive. You did that on carpet. That's impressive. So I go on set, I call everybody around. I'm like, all right, fellas, here we go. Bow, bow, bow. 88 push-ups later.
88?
Are you serious?
One time, no break. And the only reason I stopped was because I started laughing. I thought I was going to pee. So I stopped.
88? That's a
88.
What do the kids think? Do they think you're playing dress up, or do they understand what you do for a living?
You know, my boys are still too young, they're only 2, but my daughter, the first time she saw me as Thor, she was like, take it off, you know, with the wig and sort of pulling it, the beard and everything, didn't sort of get it. And then now she comes and there's sort of a second look where she's like, okay, you've got a wig on. And then she's like, oh, okay, so I now think she's starting to accept it. That was the castle, and then the next day she went to school and was telling everyone, you know, that her dad works in a castle and fights the bad guys with the princess and the warriors.
When you go home, do you shut off the actor part of your world and just go right into dad mode?
Yeah, try to. You know, I always find it takes a moment to sort of shake it. Just have to remind yourself to sort of switch off and, you know, put the phone aside and you know, there's that sort of guilt where you wake up and go, hey, what haven't I done? I need to prep something, I need to do something. And it's like, no, you need to change the nappies and, you know, clean up.